Well, thank you, Andy. Nate, it's been going great so far. I'm surprised that they asked us to follow up after those things and mess it all up.
Yeah, I mean, you ain't kidding.
So hello again. I am CJ Mittica, editor in chief of Counselor and Evangelist magazines, and Nate. So we affectionately use the term data boy to describe you. I know you love that so much. But what's your real title?
So my title is Executive Director of Research and Corporate Marketing. So basically what I do is, from a research point of view, any of the research that we publish to help our members out. So if we're talking about the State of the Industry survey, the quarterly sales surveys that we do, the ad impressions study, which was released recently, all of that research that we do to help inform the industry, that comes directly through my department.
So in this presentation, this session, we're going to cover a lot of that research and at least highlight some of the most interesting statistics and findings that we've discovered this year. But that leads into, I guess, just my first question to you, Nate, which is the fact that we already do a lot of research, but what else have we done this year to get a beat on all that's gone on in 2020?
It's been nonstop. I can tell you January and February were nice and calm, right? From a research point of view, we were doing what we were doing. It was fine. And then in March, sort of all hell broke loose, not only from a research perspective, but also from a societal perspective. And we have been doing constant research with our members. And the purpose of this research is it's not, it's not to make, fulfill a curiosity I have, even though that's certainly what I have and what a lot of our colleagues have at ASI, but it's really to help keep our industry as informed as possible so they can help so we can help them make the best business decisions, because information really is power. And specifically in 2020, this is uncharted territory for everybody. I mean, nobody that's alive has ever lived through anything quite like this. And what I saw as sort of my directive was to reach out to our members and to ask the difficult questions, to ask questions that we've never actually had to ask before about what was going to happen. It's easy to look back, right? It's really hard to look forward, and really pressing people to look forward into what they saw. Whether it was right or wrong, it was what was real at that moment. And that's sort of what 2020 meant.
So we're going to have a presentation and some charts. We're going to be able to show that in a little bit. Just a reminder, if you have questions that you want to submit into the chat box. We'll save a couple minutes at the end and hope we can answer all your questions. And so also just a reminder that our presentation that we're showing a little later, it's going to be a handout that you can save, you can view, and that you can keep with it, because we'll be going through everything, but at least you'll have it to take away with you. So before we dive into that, we're going to put the power of research at work here, and we're going to do a couple polls, and we're going to do one poll right now. You'll have about 30 seconds to answer it, and so when it pops up here, be sure to click on the screen. So this is the first poll, very scientific. Which 2020 buzzword are you most tired of hearing? And here are your choices: pivot, new normal, social distancing, and flatten the curve. Nate, what is your choice?
I don't want to influence the results. I'll tell you my choice in about 20 seconds, because I have one. I definitely have one.
Well, I'll tell you my choice is new normal, which the first time I heard it, I was like, that's right. This is the new normal. Everything's completely changed. And then by the 500th time I heard it, I was like, I am so sick and over the new normal.
Yeah, mine's pivot. I mean, I can think. I'm a big Seinfeld fan, and I'm a big Friends fan. And every time I hear that word, that's all I can think about is that 30-second clip from Friends, which is, and you know what? At first I got it, but man, 6 months later, it's been wearing on me.
All right, we're gonna give it a couple more seconds here. Everybody, get in your votes, and
All right.
we'll see if you're correct, Nate, or I'm correct. Okay, so let's see the results now.
And CJ, I am happy to inform you that you did indeed win, followed with 56% of the vote. That is not even close.
Wow.
That is a landslide being an election. That's a landslide in this poll.
Well, we should have made a bet beforehand. Actually, what I was thinking was we should have we should have said for every time we're going to hear pivot during this whole afternoon, we should take a shot, because I think by 2:30 I'll be pretty drunk by then.
145. All right, let's take the poll down. All right.
Cool. Thank you everybody for voting. We appreciate it, and we're going to do another poll a little bit later. So we're gonna transition into our presentation here. We're calling it a data deep dive, but in reality, like we only have 15-20 minutes to go over a lot of material, and we could talk for 2 hours about this stuff just because there's so many insights and observations that we've been able to highlight and discover this year. And so, like I said, you'll be able to take this handout with you, and it'll be available after the session, I believe, or at least but definitely tomorrow.
Hmm.
The first thing, Nate, that I wanted to bring up was our Q3 data for industry sales. This is hot off the press. We just released it this week. So it was we revealed that that for Q3 the industry was down 24.8%, about 25%. Now
Hmm.
that's an improvement over Q2 when it was down over 44%. So looking at that, Nate, that figure, I mean, it shows an improvement that that things may have could have bottomed out Q2. At least it's doing better. But what does that figure mean for the recovery of this industry?
It means that it's coming back. It's not going to be like a rubber band, though. You know what I mean? Like, in other words, like you can have an industry or an economy just snap back like a rubber band. It gets pulled back, something bad happens, and it snaps forward. This isn't quite coming back that way. I mean, and it's not necessarily going to be in a straight line. We've had recessions before where going back to 2008, and before that into the 2000s, where economically it's snapped back once it fell down. This is a little bit different. This has been such a disruption. It's improving, right? It's definitely improving. I mean, I remember if you would have told me that it improved to negative 25% this time last year, I don't even know what I would have thought. What I can tell you is that when we pull these numbers, and we take great care in doing so, that it's improving, but it's going to be it's going to be slower than we might have expected.
Okay. And we're going to touch on a little bit what the projections are for this year, and maybe and some ideas about what next year might hold. But just looking at how how these industries are being affected here, you can see that small distributors, medium distributors, large distributors, there's, I guess, a disproportionate effect on how each of them are doing. What have you noticed, Nate, just from how the current how this pandemic and this sales slowdown is affecting each of those revenue categories among distributors?
Sure. So in Q2, everybody was hit. Every single distributor, no, regardless of the size, they were hit, and they were hit hard. Q3, the recovery, what it shows me is the recovery has been a little bit faster for the larger distributors. And the way that we define those are the distributors that are doing over $1 million a year in business. So their sales are coming back quicker. Will that be sustained? I don't know. Larger distributors have been growing at a slightly faster rate than their counterparts over the last several years, but they snap back a little bit faster. But again, as the economies begin to open up around the U.S., as mom and pop stores and local businesses and medium-sized businesses begin to all of a sudden see sales back and start to get back, as hospitality and events start coming back, I think you're going to start to see these level off and get back to some level of equilibrium. But right now for Q3, it's just that the larger distributors improved a little bit faster.
Okay, and you can see here that in terms of how the increases and decreases, obviously a lot of firms have decreased. The largest firms, a greater portion had an increase, but still across the board affect, certainly whether you're a small distributor, medium-sized distributor, or a large distributor. So our counselor confidence index, which measures how the industry was doing, I think you can see obviously there's a similar movement where it plummeted in Q2,
Yep.
and it's on its way back in Q3. So I think that's an encouraging sign for sure. Talking about 2020 projected sales, how this industry is going to fare. Right now, Nate, so 24% year over year for 2020.
Mhm.
Well, what should our attendees make of that?
That sells. If you're doing better than 24% down this year, you're projecting that, then you're doing better than the average, right? That's probably the biggest takeaway. When it comes to it, this has been improving, right? We asked this question, and this is one of these questions that I never thought I would have to ask because we don't. Going back to Q2, this was projected to be down over 30 some percent, 31, 32% year over year in 2020. That's improved. So as things have begun to open up, as businesses have begun to again order traditional promo products, we've seen that improve. I mean, listen, we're going to talk about PP in a minute, but that really for Q2 in many ways was a lifeline for this industry, which prevented just catastrophe in Q2.
Nate, so we have an audience question here. This is from Nikolai. What is the data set for the sales percentage poll? So for I guess for our quarterly sales survey, what's the data set based off of?
It's surveys that we do of distributors throughout the industry. The normal data set, just so people know, not to really get into the fine details, we normally get between 600 and 1,000 responses to the survey every quarter.
Okay. So I'm showing here over the long haul of the industry. I mean, this is going to be a big drop, bigger than any other recession we've seen. What's the climb back going to look like compared to previous times?
It took years to get back and recover the data what was lost in 08 and 09. It took years. It's going to take years again. And I think that's the biggest takeaway. So it's not going to be immediate by any means. So it's about patience and it's about building for a long-term recovery, not just a very short-term recovery.
So we have an audience question here, Nate. This next chart, I think, will answer part of it, and then we can add our insights on top of it. So the question was from Nikki. From Dave. What product or business category is driving the increase in business for Q3?
I think it's going to be traditional promo products. I mean, if I had to guess, right, that's what I'm saying. I'm seeing it's going to be traditional promo products starting to be reintroduced into the sales cycle. It's not that they were completely absent during Q2, but they were severely negatively impacted. So that's what I think is really going to be driving it moving forward.
Okay, and you can see here as well. So we did it we did for our state of the industry issue and our state of the industry report. We did a sales outlook for certain end buyer markets, and you can see here obviously health and medical is the big winner out of all this, and then other ones that I think some of the obvious ones that like trade shows, sporting events, and hospitality are really struggling. Obviously, it's a lesson for distributors in terms of what markets are you targeting. And I think Nate, when we did this, when did we get the data for this for the state of the industry report?
We got this up towards the end of Q2, and
okay.
What it points to, I guess, also, and this is just to beat a drum here, but it's diversification. If unfortunately, if you were heavily invested in events, and there was listen, as Peter Shankman said earlier today, it's a huge global industry, right? Anything event related. If you had 100% of your apples in that basket, you got hit really hard. If you were diversified, you still got hit hard, but maybe not, but not quite as much.
Yep. So one quick question: how many distributors participated in this survey, the quarterly sales survey?
Yeah, so again, we do anywhere from 600 to 1,000 distributors every quarter that participate in our research.
All right, so we're just because we got a lot of data here, we're going to move on into our ad impression study. This looks at a whole bunch of different product categories. We're going to focus specifically on PPE because that was something new for this year. Nate, we're going to get to the effectiveness of masks in a second. But what were your overall sort of impressions of PPE and masks as promotional products based on the results from this study this year?
That the growth opportunities could be extraordinary, right? My wife just ordered $25 worth of masks from Tory Burch the other day because it was 5 for $25, and she's like, "This is a great deal. We got to get these." 7 months ago, I would have been like, "Why?" I think it shows that as we get out of the incredible avalanche that everybody needed PPE, and our industry had the lines on getting them. Now you get into actually the potential of PPE growing as a promotional product, not as a necessarily blank product if that's what they were being sold. It's making them fashionable. It's making them durable. It's making them, strange as it sounds, attractive to wear. And that's where I think that's where I sort of see it going.
So, first thing we asked is about how often are people wearing masks, and it was 80% of consumers are wearing masks out in public. That's something that I think we've seen definitely in the Northeast. It might be different in other parts of the country, but it's definitely something that we've seen for sure.
I think it's going to become, I mean, I just think that it's been growing. And I think as, you know, I was resistant. I was resistant. I did not wear masks until it was required by our governor of New Jersey. I did not. And now it's just, when I walk around, it's going to feel weird the first time that I go into a store without one. Very, very weird.
Yeah, no, I agree. You leave your house, you need, do you have your mask? That's become our new normal. That darn that term. But I think there's a difference between unbranded masks and branded masks. That's where our industry comes in, and it's done a great job of mobilizing and branding. We have information about how often those branded masks are being sold. But this is where we want to ask our audience. We're going to run our second poll here. Let's put up this poll now. And just a reminder, if you to answer the poll, click on your response. So the question is, have you sold branded face masks this year? Nate, I mean, just for a few seconds while everybody's voting, how many branded masks do you have?
Oh, geez, man. My wife works in a hospital. She's a case manager at a hospital nearby. And they get them, her hospital has been giving them out to them. So, I mean, I would probably be north of a dozen at this point. How about you?
I have a few. We've gotten them from our soccer club, gave them out. Our synagogue gave them out. You're starting to see it as part of a normal giveaway where it's not just a T-shirt anymore. It's the mask instead of the T-shirt. So yeah, definitely starting to gain them. All right,
Hmm.
so we've gone about 30 seconds here. Let's see what the results are.
73% said yes, and I am staggered and incredibly impressed by that number. Said yes. 73% of the attendees have sold branded face masks this year, and that I guarantee you it wasn't that early on in the crisis, but it is now, and I think that's great because that's what I think is going to be sort of the future of PPE in this industry.
Yep. So thank you everybody for voting. That's great information, and you can see the difference. I think already how quickly this is turning. Because if you look at our findings here, when we asked this, it said that 39% of consumers report that they own the mask. That was 60% that didn't. It's amazing. I think how quickly that's changing.
When we do this survey again, this was conducted again towards the in May and June. When we do this again in 2021, it's going to be very different.
And so beyond sort of this an increase in selling masks and people receiving masks, the thing we were trying to get at with this is the effectiveness of branded masks. And the data we found that they would half of consumers would keep a logoed mask for more than 3 months.
Hmm.
More than half, 57%, would be more likely to do business with the advertiser who gave them a promo mask. And if you look at the impressions, over 4,000 impressions per mask. So, I mean, I think this is clear evidence to me that not only are branded masks being used more often, but there's I think obvious evidence that they are an effective promo product.
Oh my God, they're an effective promo product, and they're a promo product that actually serves the greater good of society. I mean, not only do people like them, it actually it's they like them. They're going to be appreciative of the person of the company that gave it to them, and it will help protect them. I mean, what else could you actually want from an advertising medium like this?
Yeah, no, and there's been an ongoing debate about, is PPE going to be around next year? How big is it going to be? And we're going to speak to that now with some of our recent ESP data. So first of all, taking a look at the top ESP search terms for 2020. I think, Nate, no surprise, that there are a number of PPE items in
Hmm.
the top 10. The question I think that people are curious about is it still going to be PPE? If you look at September here, so that's what, 4 PPE products out of the top 10. If you looked at it maybe in Q2, we were showing that it was 8 or 9 of the top
Yeah,
10 ESP search terms were PPE products. So that looks to me like a return of traditional promo items. What have you been seeing?
100%. It's going to be a traditional return, but, and this is important, don't. It's going to be everything right now. Now you're looking at now. I mean, it's an opportunity in my case because you have these promotional products which have been huge for 20, 30, 40 years, right? And now all of a sudden you have this new type of products that are coming into the market that haven't really been in it before. So now not only can you sell traditional promo products like the writing instruments, like the bags, like the water bottles, now you also have like these new opportunities. So from a distributor point of view, it's a great opportunity for them to introduce their clients to new products that they haven't before. From a supplier point of view, if they're in the PPE space, it's a great opportunity for them just to expand their product line.
So Nate, did you know that there's an election going on?
No, was unaware. I
So
live
we
in New,
only have
I live in New Jersey. We don't actually see any ads here. I can't tell you how jealous that makes other people.
we only have like a minute left, so we're gonna have to go through this quickly, unfortunately. But we did some polling earlier in the year. We showed that the industry, their party affiliation is about half Republican, and the rest is kind of scattered. We asked, what's your overall opinion of Trump's presidency? That kind of lines up with sort of where things are at. There's sort of half who view Trump's presidency favorably, half that don't. We asked, who would be the ticket they would support. Half in support of Trump, a third in support of Biden and Harris.
Yeah.
Again, not as many Democrats as Republicans in this industry. And just maybe we can finish up with this. The issues that matter most in 2020 for our industry: economy, taxes, tariffs. It definitely seems to have an economic thrust to it.
Yeah, you would expect that. I mean, I think it's great that, I mean, that's exactly true. I mean, God, when was the last time you thought of tariffs though? It's that was the buzzword for all of 2019 into 2020, and I can't remember the last time it was that I actually thought about them. Um, it's this Our industry is made of entrepreneurs. It's made of business owners. It's not that people aren't concerned with all of the issues that are out there. They are, but everybody is concerned about the economic impact, and I think that's fair, and I am too. So that's what they're looking for. It's not that they're willing to like push everything else to the side. That's the economy. That is the only thing that matters. But they are definitely. It's from an economic point of view, especially when you're talking to people who are in business for themselves.
So there's a lot of data. We went through it relatively quickly. The good news is you can find our research at asicentral.com/research. You can and this presentation will be recorded, so you can be viewed again in the handout, so you can look at this data more closely. Just lastly, Nate, this industry, this road to recovery. What do you think is how it's going to shake out in the coming months and next year?
It's going to be long term, and it's going to be gradual. And what I would say is, if there are setbacks, don't get discouraged. There's going to be setbacks. There's setbacks with any. This is we are. One of the other terms I probably hate is uncharted, but this is uncharted territory, and there's going to be setbacks. So when they happen, roll with them as best as you can. I know that I've had to do that over the last couple of months, and we all will. So that's just keep moving forward and believe, as Peter said, we will emerge different and stronger.
Well, thank you, Nate, for your insights, and thank you everybody for watching today. I'm going to send it back to Andy and Michelle.